Guys, if you're thinking about moving to Dallas, Texas, you have got to consider Prosper. Prosper is a far north Dallas suburb. And in this video, I've got 3 pros and 3 cons that you've got to know about and that no one else is going to tell you about. Let's get to it.
TommyWooten.com. TommyWooten.com. TommyWooten.com.
Pro number 1 for me, it's going to be the fishing spots. Almost every community that you could decide to live in Prosper has its own pond. So for your quality of life, when you have holidays or downtime with you and the kids, you can go to the neighborhood pond, hook up on some bass or catfish, and it just adds to the quality of life. And that is a pro that I know that no one is putting out there. That is straight from me, Tommy Wooten here. All right. Let's get into pro number 2. Now, I want you to stay to the end because I've got a bit of advice that is going to make or break your move to Prosper, Texas. Pro number 2 is going to be the schools. That's right. Prosper ISD in 2023 was the fastest growing school district in the state of Texas. Why? Because Prosper is a perennial powerhouse when it comes to school rankings. That's right. Year over year, as long as I've been looking at Texas rankings for school districts, Prosper has never been outside of the top 50 in the state of Texas, which has as many as 1,000 school districts in any given year. Prosper ISD is great at all grade levels. And once you get up into the high schools, you've got to know that there are niche programs per high school. For instance, the 4th high school that's being built right now, Richland High School, the word on the street is that it's going to have a cosmetology niche and that anyone at a Prosper High School can bus over to this campus and take cosmetology classes and likely graduate with college credits in that field. Prosper ISD is a great school district, and it's pro number 2 for sure, a big reason that people are moving to Prosper, Texas. Pro number 3 about Prosper, Texas, honestly, is that it's close to the PGA district. Why is that so big? Well, before the PGA district was built, where Prosper went to have fun, like on nights and weekends, the closest multi-use development was going to be the Star. On the other side of the Star, there's Legacy West, there's shops at Legacy, there's the boardwalk down in Plano, and the biggest one would have been the Grandscape District. That's right, Prosper peeps had to drive down into Central Frisco and Plano or the Colony to have an awesome evening out with food options and fun activities to do. But not anymore, because the PGA District is located in North Frisco, just across Highway 380. And for those of us that live in Southwest Prosper, it's less than a 5-minute drive, and the PGA District has all of that in spades. I mean, we're talking about multiple food options. They've got the Ice House, which has a few driving range bays, the Top Golf restaurant. You got a few other restaurants over there. You can zip over to the actual Omni Resort, which has a few restaurants in there. Guys, I'm a big fan of the PGA District, and I'm happy it's in North Frisco, aiding a lot of the Prosper residents. So that's it. Pro number 3, being close to the PGA District. Now, before we move on to the cons, I want to say thanks for visiting the Dallas Real Estate Channel. We tell you all about life in and around Dallas-Fort Worth. We do a face-to-face with everyone that reaches out to us, and then we help them get acquainted with how we can help them get into Dallas with the custom itinerary, and we can tell you all about that when you reach out. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. Now, what do you say we get into the cons? Con number 1 about Prosper, Texas is that while we've got good Italian food, we've got Chinese food, we've got sushi, we don't have a good steakhouse or good barbecue. I go to Hutchins Barbecue, I go to Tender Barbecue, and neither one of those are in Prosper. They're in Frisco and Auburn. For steak, I go down into Frisco to Perry's Steakhouse. I don't like going to Texas Roadhouse in Prosper. Although Texas Roadhouse is awesome for hamburgers or chicken fried steak, stuff like that. It's not a steakhouse. And I gotta say, guys, that's a big one, because if you're like me and you want a good steak once every couple of weeks, yeah, you're going down into Frisco for that. If you want barbecue on the weekends, you got to go pick that up and bring it back. So that's con number one. We need to get some steakhouses and some barbecue joints here in Prosper. Con number two is the growing pains. Look, at any point in given time, there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 construction projects going on in Prosper. And that has to do with, that might be schools being built, roads being widened, retail going up, some sort of road closure, getting onto the tollway to get out of Prosper. Getting out of Prosper is kind of a pain. There's a lot of roads that have not been widened yet. Something that may take 5 minutes, or should take 5 minutes, getting out of Prosper, 10 minutes maybe, can sometimes take 20 minutes. So that's just a part of the growing pains. And when we look at the schools, a lot of the school district is being rezoned every year because a new school pops up. And when you've got kids, that's kind of a pain. So I gotta say, the growing pains are real when it comes to Prosper, Texas. And con number three is going to be the cost of living. I'm just going to give you an example. Yes, we know that real estate in Prosper is more expensive than some of our neighbors when we talk about price per square foot. But why? It has to do with the land that it's on. Prosper's location is directly north of downtown Dallas, up the tollway about 35 miles. Now, when you get into Prosper, the price of land goes up really high, which means what? If you are building a store and a little strip center, if you will, and someone wants to run a donut shop out of your strip center, they open that up, and of course the rents are going to be higher because of how much you have to charge in relation to how much you spent to build that shop. Which, how much you spent to build on the shop has to do with how much you bought the land for, okay? So all these things are connected. How does that feed into the cost of living? Well, when we go into the donut shop and we get a half a dozen glazed donut holes, that's going to be way more expensive than half a dozen glazed donut holes down in Dallas, believe it or not. I've done this experiment, and we pay more for our donuts up here. It's kind of wild. The same thing is really across the board. I go to get Chinese food here compared to going to Little Elm to get Chinese food. You get more bang for your buck when you go to Little Elm or certain parts of Frisco, McKinney, or what have you, than being here in Prosper. And so the cost of living is higher. It all adds up. Now, I can't say the same is true for the grocery store, but we do look at the higher property taxes and all these things. They're just a little bit more expensive in Prosper than they are in a lot of other places in Dallas-Fort Worth. So the cost of living is con number three. Now, I want to thank you guys for staying to the end of the video. Again, Tommy Wooten, putting the Wooten Real Estate, Dallas real estate team here in Dallas, Texas. All right, guys, we've reached that part of the video in which I'm going to give you a tip that will make or break your move to Prosper. And that tip is for you to befriend a Prosper resident that is your realtor, because there are intricacies about living in Prosper that an out-of-town resident and realtor will not know. And you can start that process by finding me on Facebook. You can private message me, reach out, ask me any question you want about living in Prosper. A lot of the content that is up on my Facebook page or my Facebook profile has to do with living in Prosper, and that can give you a deeper sense of what it's like to live here in this wonderful town. Without that, you just don't get the full story, and you deserve to have the full story because you're relocating your whole family somewhere. You want someone who is 10 toes down in that place that you're moving to. Guys, don't forget to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. But I got a question for you. Is prosper maybe not exactly what you're looking for? Check out this video. It may help you decide on what you're looking for.